Yeah. Now I didn't check how much. Oh, there we go. Income statement. Where's that? There. So yeah, that's where we sold our planter, and I bought something. What did I buy? That's where we sold the canola. That's where we sold. So we got 33,000 off the silage bales. And then, because it's fall now, we will just be, when we cut the grass, it'll just be straight into silage. I'm not going to play around trying to make hay out of it. Because it's too late in the year, and I'm fairly certain we're due weather. Yeah, tail end of tomorrow, we're due rain. We'll be done with this today. If I cut the grass today, then hopefully it should survive the winter and I won't have to reseed it. We'll be planting this field with grass once this is done. And then I can start transferring sheep into that field. I want about half of our flock in there, so that there's room to expand. We've got 350 sheep, 300 sheep. Which we should mean that we end up sometime in spring with about 550 sheep on the farm. And the sheep fields only hold 500, so I'm going to have to make some adjustments to allow for that capacity. That will also mean that we will be spawning wool in 2 points, so there'll be enough room for a lot more wool bales to be sitting around. The number of sheep we currently had, I actually think we had about 400 sheep. Just noticed the harvester was getting a little bit overfilled. But we made it. Yeah, with the number of sheep we had last year, I was having to move the wool pallets more than once a day. So sort of move them in the evening, move them in the morning, because you weren't going to make a 24-hour period without overflowing the spawn point. And if I'm out doing something, I don't need to be breaking off and finding a tractor to move everything with. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is going to be filled with the current load. So I'll have to come running over with the fence to take the excess. How is this guy doing? Yeah, not doing too bad. That is nearly done. That's good. Okay, so that's that load. I think the extra 30,000 purchase was that trailer. I'm quite pleased with it. It's quite a garish orange colour, but 30,000 litres. It doesn't have a cover like this one does, but it works well with what we've got. Now if we get round to getting a bigger harvester with a large tank, I might need an even bigger trailer for that. Okay, I can abandon that there, I think. Oops. Turn that on. Turn that on, and off we go again. So we should be into the island. We might clear the island to get these two trailers filled. And that will put 51.7, 52, 53.4. So 103.4. So yeah, filling both these trailers should leave us with about 103,000 litres of sunflowers already harvested this year. Fairly certain we won't get another full load of both trailers. But yeah, I could be wrong. Who knows? Also notice we need to fill the DEF tanks up on this harvester. More importantly, the diesel tank. Fortunately, this is the last field this year. I think I completely forgot to fill the diesel on the harvester beginning of this harvest. So I want to say we've got approximately 2 full harvests out of this harvester. I might be wrong. But then we're also doing a good acreage of sugar beets, and we don't use the harvester for those. Alright. So we are at the island. What I might do, we'll come back down and we'll stay in the bottom half of the field, since that's where the empty tractor is. Oh. I've also got to redo the water in the fish tank again this weekend. I decided for the first 2 weeks we were going to we switch about 20% of the water every week for this one. Next week I might step it back to every other week. The fishes seem to be fairly happy. Our oldest fish has definitely perked up since moving to the big tank and getting some friends. He was pretty melancholy when we first moved him in there. Pretty much sat under a plant and hid all day. Now there's other fish in there. Maybe he feels a little bit safer and that he won't get eaten by passing birds, which ain't gonna happen, but that's probably crossed his mind anyway. But I'm not the only thing to eat in here. I can be a little bit more adventurous. I think go that way. Nope. That button. Yeah. Keep hitting that tab. Just offside. There you go. I've got the forward reverse and the look left, look right mapped to the same hat switch, so it's not too bad, because that's moving the view 45 degrees per push, and then up and down changes forward reverse. But if I accidentally hit it slightly off center, then I can end up changing the direction of drive and my view by 45 degrees, which kind of annoys me. But I have not looked at ATS ETS for pretty much a year now, so I couldn't make a comment on what I think of their lighting. I haven't really watched any ETS ATS videos either. I know Arthur's back into ATS. Oh, beautiful. But, don't know. I think I've watched a couple of Arthur's videos, but I wasn't aware of any lighting updates. But I haven't watched any of his within the last week. I'm generally only watching his Alpine video, or his Alpine series. Yeah. Well, again, maybe I will if I get a chance. I've already had Long Hauler suggesting I should take a look at Elite Dangerous, which is a game I do own. I haven't played in years. Probably I went Horizons for a couple of months and then kind of got distracted by other squirrels, so probably Farm Sim, if truth be told. But joystick's packed away somewhere. Don't know if it still works. But, maybe I'll investigate that. Problem is when I play a game, I tend to enjoy getting immersed in it and things like Elite Dangerous is something that you really have to sort of invest time in. Like I was saying about things like World of Tanks and what have you, you need to invest time in to get good. Now it's okay if, I mean, there are so many players who play World of Warships these days who just, I don't think they care whether they win or lose, they just like to play the game, but it can be very depressing to be in a tier 10 battle with half your team has a win rate of 40% and 5,000 games played, and it's sort of, are you learning anything while you're playing this, or is this just something you're doing for fun and you really don't think winning is at all important? People play games for that reason, but it can make people who like to win once in a while very frustrated. But I was playing last night, and sort of pretty much every team was 90% of the players were worse than 50% win rates, and I'm not playing low tier games. Back when I started playing World of Warships, you had to, you were looking at 500 battles just to get one ship to tier 10, and you generally weren't playing that one tier all the way through. You were switching around and spreading out which ships, or which type of ships you were playing, which nation ships you were playing, and so it took you a lot longer to get there, but you learned a lot more. Oops, we're missing bits. Because it took you so long to play it, or to progress, you got a lot better idea of how the game worked. And it was the same in I used to play EverQuest too, and back when I started, obviously the game was capped at level 50, and it took you 6 months of dedicated playing, or a year and a half, 2 years of casual playing to max out level. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Obviously, with a game like that, you want to keep people's interest. So having a long progression is good for the longevity of that type of game. I hit the button again. But then when they started increasing the level caps, you get up to level 100, and all of a sudden that's a huge investment for a new player to max out their character. And so they tried to keep the game level cap as something that could be done by a dedicated player in sort of 4 to 6 months. And so they compacted, or they reduced the amount of experience to get from level 1 to 10 and 11 to 20, because they wanted you to progress to now level 100 in the same time as someone who's been from the game at the beginning took originally to get to level 50. And what tended to happen was the new players tended to be worse at any given level than an experienced player, because they didn't have to invest the time learning. It's kind of confusing. It may seem a little bit elitist, but it's sort of, when you have to put in 150 hours of gameplay to get to level 50. New players only have to put in 75. The quality of the gameplay, unless someone's really good, is generally going to be worse if you spend less time learning. As like apprenticeships were. I think apprenticeships were traditionally about 7 years, because they reckoned that's how long it took an apprentice to rack up, I think it was 1,000 hours, and if you do something for 1,000 hours, play the drums, play a guitar, you will be, and you would be considered an expert at playing that music instrument. If you spent 1,000 hours hammering out metal on a blacksmith's forge, you would be considered a experienced blacksmith. The time is what makes you good. But with computer games, you can't you can't expect, oh well, it's going to take you 1,000 hours to max out your character. Sort of, who has 1,000 hours to play a game casually? But I mean, Truck Sim is a good example of, you don't have to put time into it. One of the last characters I started just after Italy came out, I think, and so I started him in Italy, and he's driving around in a two-wheel drive man truck. And I took maybe 1 or 2 levels of long distance driving, and then dumped all the rest of my initial experience into hazmat. 1 level of fragile, 1 level of high value. So that unlocks all of the cargo types, but it limits my drive time to, the longest trip I can take on a contract is about half an hour's driving. And if I want to pick up a game and play it quickly and go away, I'm not. The problem is with something like ATS and ETS is I might play it so infrequently that if I took a trip that was longer than an hour, so okay, I have to stop and rest, and then when I come back to the game the next time, which could be 3-4 weeks later, oh, my truck's reset to home and the contract's gone. So doing lots of short, quick contracts for about half an hour seemed to work out quite well for me. And if the game did reset, no big deal, because I would be empty every time I ended a particular session. It also works out good for creating YouTube videos of about 20 to 30 minutes. Because you can just do 1 trip and then cut that, break that, say, okay, that trip's done, start a new video. But that's my opinion. I tend to prefer a half-hour video to a 6-hour video. There's some people that post sort of hours and hours of gameplay, and it's sort of, I really don't have time to sit here and just watch that. Streams, I kind of think, are different, because I'm not gonna break this stream up. Which button is it? That one. So even if I was, if I was doing what Arthur used to do with the record a YouTube video at the same time as I'm streaming, and then he has a timer, breaks off every 30 minutes and says, okay, people of YouTube, thank you for watching, please hit the subscribe and like button, and for those of you who are watching the stream, I'll be continuing this on. And then cut the record, start up the record, and hey people over YouTube, welcome to the to today's video, blah 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 blah. And it's just sort of, you can do that, but the stream is still going. You're going to stream for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. I mean, I know one guy who streams for 8 hours, and he takes a break for lunch, so it's sort of a 4-hour stream in the morning, 4-hour stream in the afternoon, and that's his livelihood. He's figured he can make enough money from streaming, and that's what he does. And sometimes he'll play the same game all day. Depends if it's new game came out, something like Red Dead Redemption. He played that pretty much consecutively for quite a few days, for a week or two. But other games, or when there's a lot of games that come out, he'll do 4 hours of one game in the morning and 4 hours of a different game in the afternoon. And sometimes a different style of game as well. Oh, I missed. Let's try to straighten that up. But I'm not even playing Farm Sim in my off time, which, before I started streaming, that's when I used to play Farm Sim a lot. Not so much ATS or ETS, because I kind of have to watch where I'm driving. But with Farm Sim, I could stick this on cruise control. And GPS, except I don't have GPS on this particular harvester, because I can do harvesting by visual judgment. But I used to play Farm Sim while watching an Arthur YouTube video or whatever. So I racked up tons of hours in Farm Sim, but stuff where I have to interact and pay attention, I can't do that while I'm watching other videos. These days I'm probably watching a lot of videos, but I'm not playing a lot of games while I'm watching videos. I'm running along to the end and back again. Definitely getting close to the end of this field, so that's good. Got a lot of patches of bad crop here. As I said, I really don't recall that on the PDA when we checked to see if the crop was ready to harvest. Anyway. Now I'm fairly certain once this is full, we're not going to be able to empty much of anything into our 2 carts. Looking at this, I don't know. I wonder if I've got 30,000 litres left. I'm going to guess I have. I think what I might do is we'll pull the Fent over, see if we've got any capacity in that trailer. Sadly, Vehicle Inspector doesn't show fill levels unless the tractor's running, and by running it means engine on and a worker or another player, or me. So I can't see what the fill levels are on the carts unless I jump there. I think that was something that The Farm Sim 17, I think the vehicle inspector there, it wasn't called vehicle inspector, called glance. That did give you a feedback on every vehicle that you had the engine on. So I could leave the engine on the tractors in this field and they would never turn off. But that would provide me with the ability to see how full they were. Maybe there's there's an adjustment to the glance setting that would allow me to do that, but I haven't looked that up. But it's still useful, because if I run this, as soon as we're full, we'll run over to the tractor, we'll unload what we can. If we can't empty enough of it, then I'll just run the tractors back up to the yard. But I could put this on a worker and go and finish off seeding the oil seed on the other field. And I can see when this thing is close to getting filled.